Okay, so we're going to be doing now the Aliyat Shevi'i of Perashat Bemidbar. All right, so I'm going to read for you, and it's here, Perek Daled. It's right here, okay? Okay, you have here the Targum together with the, you have the Targum together with the regular Chumash. I'm going to start. It has the timing. וידבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור ומלל אדוני עם משה ולאהרון למאמר. So here Hashem doesn't just speak to Moshe Rabbeinu, he also speaks to Aharon. The reason he speaks also to Aharon is that what we're about to read pertains to the Mishqan and pertains to the domain of the Kohanim, okay? And let me explain what that means. The hierarchy is that in the Bet HaMikdash, the Kohanim are in charge. The Leviim are there also, but the Leviim are there to serve the Kohanim in the Avodah of the Bet HaMikdash, right? And here we're going to be reading specifically the way, the function, because Leviim had three families, right? There was Qehat, there was Gereshon, and there was Merari. Here, we're going to be reading what the role of Qehat was, okay? That's what we're going to be reading, the role of the Qehat, and specifically, when we're talking about the role of Qehat, in what context? So in the desert, during the traveling in the desert, they used to take the Mishqan with them. And when they would reach a place, they would place the Mishqan down, they would build it, they would set it up, and then would do the korbanot and the avodat hakodesh wherever it is that they may have been. Now, in order to set up the Mishqan, and when they leave a place, in order to take apart the Mishqan, every part of Shevet Levi, there's three families in Shevet Levi. Each family in Shevet Levi had different roles. So what we're reading now is going to describe the roles of Qehat, one of the families of the Levim. Okay? Let me see if there's anything additional in Se'adya Gaon, right? Okay. All right, let's continue. Naso et rosh bene Qehat b'toch bene Levi le'mishpechotam le'bet avotam kabilu yad hushban bene Qehat migo bene Levi lezar ayatehon le'bet abahatehon. Okay, first of all, naso. What does the word naso mean? In Hebrew, naso means literally to lift up. But he says naso means kabilu. What does it mean, kabilu? Receive. So how do I receive? So receive means receive the number. Receive the number, right? Kabilu means, kabilu yad hushban literally means receive the number, because it was a census. Receive the number of the family of Qehat. Tell us how many people are in that family, right? Because we have the numbers of the Shevatim, but when it comes to Shevet Levi, we break it down not just to the Shevet, right, as we did in the other ones, but rather we break it down also by the specific families of the Levim. So Naso et Rosh Bnei Qehat, Naso is a word in Hebrew for counting, right? Lemishpechotam lebet avotam. Let's see if there's anything in the Be'ur. I'm looking at Rabbeinu Se'adya Gaon. Sa et hasach hakolel shel bnei Qehat. Sa et hasach hakolel shel bnei. So kabilu yad hushban means receive the total sum, because you count people, right? Yeah, the way they counted was a different story. You couldn't count by pointing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's against the Torah. But receive the cheshbon and then give me the sum total. I want to know the sum total of how many Qehatim there are. Right.
Rabbi, I don't understand. You can't count 1, 2, 3, 4. What does that mean?
Right. So according to halacha, it's forbidden to count Jewish people, meaning you can't, let's say, I'll give you an example, Sonny, let's say we're in the minyan, we want to know if we have 10 people. So I look around the room, I say 1, 2, 3, 4, you're not allowed to do it. It's haram. Rather, what you would do, let's say, in the case of the minyan is, you would say a pasuk that has 10 people, and you would go one word for each person, right? So you find a pasuk that has 10 people who say, Hoshia, et amecha, ubarech nachalatecha, and you know that when you finish the pasuk, one word per person, you can, then you know what the amount is. Back then, when they counted, there was different ways to count the people. One of the ways to count the people was they would give a half coin of silver, and you would count the number of half coins they are. And that's part of the reason that it says kabilu, receive, because when they counted, they didn't go this way by pointing, but rather they would receive the half coins of silver. You understand, Sonny? Right? And by the way, why is that haram as long as we're talking? The reason it's haram is because it's an act of disunity, right? So when you count people individually, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're creating a symbolic disunity within the nation where it's every man to himself. And we don't believe that in the Torah. We believe the opposite, that people are connected. Kol Yisrael arevin ze bazeh. Everybody's connected with every other Jew. So that's the reason. Let's continue. Let's go to the next pasuk. מבין 30 שנה ומעלה ועד בין 50 שנה כל בעל הסבא לעשות מלאכה באוהל מועד מדבר 30 שנים ולעילה ועד בר 50 שנים כל דעתה לחילה למעבד אבידתה במשכן זמנה. And when you count them, you don't count every, how do you, when you do a census, I assume in America when they do a census, they go adults, children, I'm not sure exactly how they do it. Here, we want to count only the male Levites between the ages of 30 and 50. And the reason...
Abraham?
Yes? Somebody called me? Okay. The reason...
Yeah, I'm just... wait, I called you. Is anyone having a bad connection? I just want to see if it's me or not.
If it's a bad connection, I can go on my 4G. Is it a bad connection? Anybody else having a bad connection?
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Fine for me.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
fine. So let me figure it out. Okay.
Okay, it's probably on your side. Give me a moment just to do something here.
I'll go into 5G. All right.
All right, great. All right, sorry about that, Nathan. Okay, so and the reason between the age of 30 and 50, it's called Bala Sava. That's the army age. Called Bala Sava, but it doesn't really mean army because there was no wars there. Or rather, those are the people who would come together, right, to do the work in Oel Moed. Meaning, the work in Oel Moed, the minimum age had to be 30, the maximum age was 50. That was the age for the Leviim to do the work in Ohel Moed. So Kol Bala Sava means those who would surround, so to speak, Ohel Moed, those Leviim that would come, thank you, those Leviim that would come, and they would come between the ages of 30 and 50. So count those people. One moment, please. Baruch atah Adonai. Melech haolam.
Amen.
Amen.
Where was the age of 20 come into play? Different criteria, different...
That's for the other tribes.
Okay.
They weren't working in Oel Moed. The other tribes were not working in Oel Moed. So it was a different counting. This counting is specifically, if you're less than 30 years old, you cannot, as a Levi, come to Oel Moed and do the work. And it doesn't matter how mature you are, how immature you are, 30 is the minimum age. And conversely, if you're 50 years and over, you can be the best shape in the world, strong, what? No. That's it. It's over. I'm a Levi, by the way. I'm a Levi. I'm out. Mashiach comes, I can't do anything. I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay? My sons. And by the way, my family is from the Qehatim. We actually have a Masoret. They work from Mishqan Qehat. So nevertheless, but that's it. So I may be in good shape or may not be in good shape, but I ain't doing the work in the Bet HaMikdash according to these criteria. Okay. Let me see if there's anything additional in either in Se'adia Gaon.
Rabbi, what's the connection between the word mo'ed and Ida?
Who asked that question?
Elliot Levy.
Ah, hi Ellie, how you doing?
Hey, great.
Give me one. That's a very good question, by the way, and I'll answer the question in a moment. So, right. All right. So there's nothing additional here, and the reason it's called Ohel Moed is because it was a makom of vad. Vad means it was a meeting place. When Hashem wanted to speak to the people, the Shekhinah would come down in Ohel Moed, and people would come around the Ohel to be in the presence of the Shekhinah. So like when it says, Yehi betecha bet va'ad lachachamim, Moed is milashon va'ad, right? And the Ida, of course, is a congregation that comes together and they witness, they have a collective experience.
I do.
So that's milashon aidut. Ida is milashon aidut. So where you have the makom of the va'ad, that's where you have the aidut of a particular experience. You see how all the words they connect nicely. So you have a which is to witness something. You have the idim, which is the people who witness it, and then you have the ida, which is when the entire congregation has a collective experience and they can testify as to what happened. So, for example, we know how Sinai happened. How do I know how Sinai happened? Idut, the ida. The Jewish nation had an experience and they testify. So if I don't believe in that experience, I don't believe in anything. How do I know that the person killed somebody, he's in jail? Let me let all the people out of jail. How do prove to me that they killed? Well, there's witnesses. We have evidence. We have the laws of evidence, right? So our evidence, we have the idut, our parents, they give an idut, mipish, mipiish, the entire nation has idut, that this is what they experience. So that's Ohel Moed. All right.
Very nice.
Let's go to the next pasuk. זאת עבודת בני קהת באוהל מועד קודש הקודשים. דן פולחן בני קהת במשכן זמנה. Kodesh Kudsheya. Okay, interesting. So it says, now we are going to describe what the family of Qehat would do, in Ohel Moed. Now we're going to describe it. And what's unique about what they did is that it pertained to Kodesh HaKodashim. Because in Ohel Moed, you have the outdoor area, the Haser. The Haser has two parts. There's the part before you get to the Mizbeach, where any Jew who's Tahor was allowed to get there. And then from the Mizbeach onwards, closer towards the inner portion, only Kohanim were allowed there. Then you have the inner portion. Let me get my book. I have a book which has a picture of it. So give me a moment, please. I believe I can find that book quickly. I did find the book. Let me see if they have pictures yet in this book of what I want to describe. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see in this, I guess. Now, yeah, this book is more about the Bet HaMikdash in Yerushalayim. So no, it's not a. Let me read I can show it to you in the Bet HaMikdash. Give me a moment. Okay. Yeah. No. All right. Wrong. It's not good for this purpose. Okay. So sorry. Let me. Yeah, this picture is really hard to see. It's too small. I mean, let me show it to you anyway. Maybe you'll derive some benefit from this. So you see there, that's that enclosed area with the white curtains around it. The minute you enter that area is holy. You have to be pure to enter that area. Okay, now, anybody theoretically can enter that area if they're pure, whether Kohen, Levi, or Yisrael. But you notice you enter from here, and then you go inner, you get to the Mizbeach. That's where the smoke is coming from. The black smoke. Yeah, that's a Mizbeach. you can only go up to the Mizbeach. You can't go past the Mizbeach unless you're a Kohen. Okay? And then you have the inner portion. You see the red roof? That red roof is the red roof of the inner portion. That obviously only Kohanim can go into. Now here's what's interesting. Inside that red roofed area, that place is called the Kodesh. That's the Kodesh. What does a Kodesh mean? That's a holy sanctuary. And in that place, I'll show you what it looked like inside. That I can actually find the picture here. That place, the Kodesh, you had the menorah, the golden menorah. You had the, here's a picture of the inner portion. This is in the days of Shlomo HaMelech, right? So you had inside, you have the menorah. You see the menorah, all the candles, right? Then you have the Mizbach HaKetoret. This is where you bring the Ketoret, right? And this should also, oh no, I'm sorry, Mechila. The Mizbach HaKetoret is in the middle. I'm mispointing.
Wait, there were so many? I thought there was only one of each.
Right. This is in the Bet HaMikdash of Shlomo HaMelech. He learned it from David HaMelech, got a masoret from Shemuel and Natan HaNavi, how to build the Bet HaMikdash, and it has to do a lot with the Sitre Torah, with the Kabbalah and the Ma'aseh Merkava. So we won't go into what that means. But then here you have the table where you have the Lechem HaPanim. Okay. Now in the back you have the curtain. Okay. This whole room that you're looking at, up to the curtain, which I pointed out a moment ago, is called Kodesh. But if this curtain, past this curtain, that's called Kodesh HaKodashim, nobody, even the Kohanim, are not allowed past the curtain. That's called Kodesh HaKodashim. Because past the curtain, that's where the Aron HaKodesh was. That's where the Keruvim were. So I'll show you a picture of what it looked like.
That was real. They had that many menorot and shulchanot?
Yes.
Wow, I never knew that.
Never knew that. We're talking about Bayit Rishon, the Bet HaMikdash of Shlomo HaMelech, right? Now, in addition, this is also Bayit Rishon, the Bet HaMikdash of Shlomo HaMelech. This is what the Kodesh HaKodashim looked like past the curtain. On the other side of the curtain, this is the Aron HaKodesh, the Ark of the Tabernacle, or Tabernacle, I'm probably mispronouncing that, doesn't matter, it's Aron HaKodesh. Here's a Keruvim, then you have a larger set of Keruvim up here. Nobody's allowed here. The only person who's allowed here, you see this person, that's a Kohen Gadol, he's only allowed there on Yom Kippur. He goes in and then he goes out. Only allowed there on Yom Kippur. So you see that? So that's the, so now this is what's interesting. But who was in charge? Who was in charge of Kodesh HaKodashim? So what was interesting about Bnei Qehat is that they were in charge of setting up the Kodesh HaKodashim. They would set it up themselves. Okay? Even though they weren't Kohanim, they were Leviim. So that's why it says Kodesh HaKodashim. That's what's unique about their avodah is it has to do with Kodesh HaKodashim. Okay? All right, let's continue. Let me take a look. Okay, next pasuk. Uva Aharon ubanav bin soa hamachane vehoridu et פרוך את המסך וכיסו בה את ארון העדות ויעול אהרון ובנוהי במטל משריתה ויפרקון יד פרוכתה יפרסה ויחסון בה יד ארונה דסהדותה. We're reading this pasuk. I'm sorry, I should have marked it. We're reading this pasuk now. Okay, that's what we're just reading. Okay, so the first time we explain the pasuk, and then we'll look at the mefarshim. When it's time, when the time has come to travel, right? Now they're going to be traveling. So if they're traveling, what do they need to do if they're traveling? Well, they need to begin taking apart the Mishqan. So the first ones would be Aharon and his sons. They would take the parochet hamasach. Remember that picture? Remember the red curtain in the picture? Remember that red curtain? They would take that red curtain, this red curtain, they would take it down, and they would use it. I lost the place. Where was it? Okay. And they would use the red curtain that I pointed to you with my finger to cover the Aron HaKodesh, right? So you see the Aron HaKodesh with the Keruvim. They would take the red curtain. In the desert, by the way, they didn't have this large set of Keruvim. That's only in the Bet HaMikdash of Shlomo HaMelech. In the desert, they had this, the Aron HaKodesh with the golden kerubim. So they would take the red curtain, which you see here in the background, and they would cover the Aron HaKodesh with it. Why would they do that? Because the Aron HaKodesh was a place of the Shekhinah, and anybody who looks at the Shekhinah, it would result in death. It was haram to look at it. So they would cover it. That's number one. Out of respect. Let me look at Rabbeinu Se'adia Gaon. Okay. V'yikanes Aharon u'banav b'nsi'at ha'machaneh. Just like I said, nothing that I didn't say. Right. Okay. Let's continue. V'natenu alav kesui or tahash ufaresu. Here. Okay, that takes you the next few pesukim. V'natenu alav kesui or tahash ufaresu beged kelil techelet milmala besamu badav v'yitenun alohi hufa'a dimshach sas gona v'yiflesun lebush gemir tachla mille'illa mishavon arihohi. Okay, so that's as follows. So now they put the parochet on top of the Aron. They put the red curtain on top of the ark, and on top of the red curtain, they had a special covering, which was leather from an animal called tahash. There's different explanations about what the tahash was. Apparently, from the different explanations I've read, I agree with Felix. Felix was a professor in Bar Ilan University, Yereh Shamayim, Talmid Chacham, Shomer Torah Mitzvot, and he wrote many books on the animal life in the Chumash, and he wrote many books on the botany in the Chumash. He believed that the tahash was actually a seal, and it makes sense because the tahash was also used as the upper roof of the Mishqan, and it absorbs water, meaning it's very water repellent, right? So there's some truth to what Felix said. Nevertheless, they had this let's say seal skin. They had a seal skin cover which they would put on top of the parochet. Okay, they would put it on top of the parochet, and then ufaresu beged kelil techelet milmala, and then above the seal skin, they would put a techelet, a cloth of techelet. What's the techelet? So they say sky blue or maybe violet. Actually, I think it's closer to violet than to sky blue. But they would put that on top, besamu badav. And then after they put these three covers, the first cover is the parochet, the second cover is the seal skin, the third cover is the techelet. Then they would put the beams inside the Aron HaKodesh, besamu badav. You remember the Aron HaKodesh? So the Aron HaKodesh, you see it has these poles that were inserted inside the Aron HaKodesh. You see that? The poles? That's the badim, and you would use the poles to carry the Aron HaKodesh. Okay. Let me please continue now.
I have a question. So they're in the desert. Where are they getting the seal skin from, or the snails for pellet or argaman?
Right, that's an interesting question. I mean, we can have discussions about that. The seals was easy because that was in the Red Sea today. You have seals, so it's not a challenging. But it's a speculation. Whatever the speculation is, have it. But let's focus just on the meaning of the pesukim. I want to try to focus, with your permission, on the pesukim. So it says, let me look at Ankelos. We said, Hupa'a dimshach sasgona, right? What is the Hupa'a dimshach sasgona? What does that mean? So again, we said, Michse shel or hatahash. Okay, just a literal translation. ויפרסו בגד כולו תכלת. What does it mean? ופרסו בגד כליל תכלת. What does כליל תכלת mean? Anybody know what כליל תכלת means? That it's 100% techelet, right? Sometimes you buy a sweater and it says cashmere, but you look at the thing, it's like 30% cashmere and the rest is, I don't know, some other material. So it's not 100%. Here it's ufaresu beged kelil techelet. Kelil techelet means kulot techelet. You understand? Okay. Ve'asimu et mototav, and then they would put the poles. Let me see if there's anything additional in Rabbeinu Se'adya Gaon. וישימו עליו מכסה של אורות מעובדים. ויפרסו עליו בגד שכולו תכלת. ויתקינו את עריכיו. Okay, similar, again, they all have the same explanation. There's nothing different now in the various explanations that were given. Okay, let's continue now to Pasuk Zayin. So Pasuk Zayin is here. Okay. ועל שולחן הפנים יפרסו בגד תכלת ונתנו עליו את הקערות ואת הכפות ואת המנקיות ואת כסות הנסך ולחם התמיד עליו יהיה ועל פטורה דלחם הפיה יפרסון לבוש תחלה ויתנון אלוהי יד מריסיה, ביד בזיקיה, ביד מחילתה, ביד כסבת נסוכה ולחמה תדירה, אלוהי יהן. Now, if you remember, we saw inside the Mishqan, we saw that there was a table, and I showed you the picture before, I'll show it to you again. You see these tables here. This is the Shulchan HaZahav. Each one of the table has breads on it, right? Now, when it came time,
Bread or masa?
I'm sorry?
Is it bread or masa?
Bread, halot. Okay. So when it came time to leave, they would have to cover the shulchan, the shulchan hapanim. They would have to cover it also with a big techelet, with a cloth cover of techelet. And again, techelet is either sky blue or more violet actually than sky blue. And what's interesting is it says velechem tamid alav yihiyeh. What does velechem tamid alav yihiyeh? It means that the bread was on the table, meaning they wouldn't remove the bread from the table and then put the bread somewhere else and then cover the table, but rather when they covered the table, it had the lechem tamid on it at the time. You understand? They didn't remove the bread from the table because they were traveling. So let me look. Oh, and then there is venatinu alav et hake'arot ve'et hakapot ve'et hamenakiyot ve'et kesot hanasech. These are different tools and instruments that were related to the table itself. Let me see if I can find a picture of some of these tools. I'm not sure that it is, but it might be. Hold on one second. No. This is a menorah. Maybe here. Well, here's a picture of the Aron HaKodesh, and you see much more clearly. You see the badim. You see the poles used to carry it. I think this picture is more clear than the other one. Okay. All right. Getting back to the shulchan. There's the shulchan here? It should be. Let me see. This is the Aron. Okay, so yes, there are some pictures here. I'll show them in a moment. Okay, let me first read Ankylos, and then I will, ועל פטורה דלחם הפיה, ועל השולחן של לחם הפנים, ואת הבזיחים. Okay, let me show you what the bazichim are. The bazichim were special bowls. These are the special bowls. I hope you can see it well. I'm sorry. Right? These are the special bowls. And these bowls had a special levona. Levona is a beautiful smelling spice that they would put on top of the bread. Levona. Okay, that's a levona. Okay? Right. They would put it on the side. Actually, they would put it, I'm sorry, I said on top. They would put it on the side of the bread so that the table had a beautiful smell to it, right? And then when it would come time to eat the bread, I assume that the bread absorbed perhaps some of the smell of the levanon, but I was never there. It's just speculation. Let's continue. Let's see if there's any other pictures here of any of the other tools. No. Okay, so let's do the next pasuk. ופרסו עליהם בגד תולעת שני וכיסו אותו במכסה עור תחש ושמו את בדיו ויפרסון עליהון לבוש סבע זהורי וכסון יתה בחופאה דמשך ססכונה וישבון ית אריחו היא. Okay, let me read Ankelos. ויפרסו עליהם בגד בסבע זהורי. Okay, and they would put on these different tools, right? We said that there was the bazichim. I showed you the picture of the bazichim, and there was other parts to the table as well. So other instruments of the table, they would also cover those instruments with a cloth of tola'at shani, a cloth of tola'at shani. The tola'at shani was a type of caterpillar that produced a reddish hue. And when they wanted to make cloth with this, it was a royal color, by the way, it was royal color. They would use this tola'at shani. So tola'at shani was a special cloth colored with tola'at shani, and they would use that cloth to cover these kelim. And on top of the tola'at shani, they would put again the or tahash, the seal skin. And then they would put the poles of the shulchan inside the shulchan so they can carry it. Because as you recall from the well, I don't know if actually is in the picture. In the picture, I don't think you see the poles. Let me just take a quick look. No. So the shulchan also had a special pole so that when it was time to carry it, you would carry it with those poles. Continuing. ולקחו בגד תכלת וכיסו את מנורת המאור ואת נרותיה ואת מלקחיה ואת מחטותיה ואת כל כלי שמנה אשר ישרתו לה בהם. Okay, now we're dealing with the menorah. We'll explain it in a moment. ויסבון לבוש תחלה ויחסון ית מנרתה דאנהורה ויד בוסינהה ויד סבתה ויד מחתיתיה ויד כל מיני שימושה ישמשון לה בהון. Okay, so they would also take a beged techelet. This is that cloth that has a techelet color, and they would use it to cover the menorah, right? And they would use it to cover not just the menorah, but the menorah also had certain tools associated with the menorah for the oil and for the lighting of the menorah. And this entire menorah with the kelim was covered with this techelet. Okay. ונתנו אותה ואת כל כליה אל מכסה עור תחש ונתנו עלמות. And then on top of this entire techelet covering, and under it was the menorah and the tools of the menorah, they would put, again, the or tahash. Again, it seems to me that the or tahash was there to protect it, because probably seal leather protects against water and against dust and against sand, all these things in the desert. So that's probably why you've noticed that almost all of the things that we've studied, it's always on top, you have the seal skin, the or tahash. Let me read if there's anything in Ankelos. Okay. Okay. All right, continuing Pasuk Yod Aleph, and I'm going to mark the Pasuk because we're going to a new series of Pasukim. Okay. ועל מזבח הזהב יפרסו בגד תכלת וכיסו אותו במכסה עור תחש ושמו את בדיו. Also the מזבח הזהב, remember I showed you the picture of the Mizbeach in the Bet HaMikdash of Shlomo HaMelech, you had numerous menorot, numerous shulchanot, but you only had one Mizbeach. You see that? You see the one Mizbeach? That's the Mizbach HaZahav. It was made out of gold, so it's called the Mizbach HaZahav. On top of that Mizbeach, you would put, again, Beged Techelet, the same cloth of Techelet, and on top of it, you would have Or Tachash and the seal skin. And also, this Mizbeach had special poles that you would insert inside. Now, what's interesting is almost all the coverings are the same. Look at this, except for one thing. There was one exception. But almost all the coverings, we started out with the Aron HaKodesh. The Aron HaKodesh was 3 coverings. That was different. First, you put, what was it again? Yeah, first you would put the Barochet HaMasach. You remember on the Aron HaKodesh, you would put the Parochet. On top of the Parochet, you would put the Or Tachash. And on top of the Or Tachash, you would put the Techelet. That's the only case where the Techelet was on top. You notice? The Or Tachash is not on top. It's first the Parochet, the curtain, separating the Kodesh from the Kodesh HaKodeshim. On top of that is the Or Tachash, and on top of the whole thing is Techelet. That's the Aron. But you remember the Shulchan wasn't like that. The Shulchan, you put Techelet, right? And then on top of the Techelet, you put Or Tachash. The kelim of the Shulchan, that was only exception. On those kelim, you would put talachani, the reddish curtain, but again, it would be Or Tachash on top. So you notice how Or Tachash is always on top. The only exception to the Or Tachash being on top is in the case of the Ark, in the case of the Aron HaKodesh, where you had the Techelet on top. Okay? So here also, the Mizbach HaZahav, you had the Techelet, and on top of the Techelet, you had the Or Tachash. So anybody looking, they would only see one thing that had a beautiful color, was the Aron HaKodesh. Everything else had the Or Tachash. That's what you would see with your eyes. All right. Let's continue. Pasuk, what pasuk are we up to? Yod Bet. Yes. ולקחו את כל כלי השרת אשר ישרתו בם בקודש ונתנו אל בגד תכלת וכיסו אותם במכסה אור תחש ונתנו עלמות ויסבון יד כל מנה שמושה תשמשון בהון בקודשה ויתנון ללבוש תחלה, ויחסון יתהון, וחופה דמשך ססרונה, ויתנון על עריכה. Okay, then you would take all of the kale hasharet. What were these kale hasharet? All the kale hasharet that you would use inside the Mishqan. So what are those kale hasharet? Let's see if we can figure it out. I'm going to look first at Ankelos. Kale hasharet, those utensils, shemeshaletim b'hem hakodesh, that were used on the inner portion of the Mishkan. But what are they? I don't see. Okay, let's look at Ibn Ezra. Ibn Ezra says, kemo sakinim, for example, the knives, v'chapot, uk'arot. Let me look at Rashi, because I think Rashi brings a Perashat. Rashi says, betoch ha-Mishkan. It's referring to those tools that were used inside the Mishkan, Shehu Kodesh. And what are the tools used inside the Mishkan? Behem keleh haketoret. These are the tools used for the incense that was brought on the golden Mizbeach. Shemisharetim bahem b'Mizbeach hapenimim. Ibn Ezra says sakinim. I don't know what he means when he says sakinim. Maybe he's talking about sakinim of the, let me look at the Perush of Rabbi Ftichi.
Maybe like the knife that you slaughter the korban with.
I know. I was thinking that, but that, why is it Bakodesh? Right? Asher Shaltu Bam Bakodesh. Bakodesh seems to imply inside.
Right.
Inside, there was no slaughtering of the korban. So what did Ibn Ezra mean when he said sakinim? הכוונה לסכינים ולקערות וכפות, אני לא יודע. Ani mashir b'sarich iyun. Listen, Ibn Ezra, he wasn't, he's a great Talmid Chacham. He doesn't just write things, okay? But I admit, I don't know it. Lo zachiti lehavin et divrei Ibn Ezra. Rashi, I understand more simply because Rashi says those kelim used inside the Mishkan itself, in the inner portion. Okay, Evanti, but Kodesh. All right, let's continue. Okay, so just to summarize again, what's happening here is nobody's allowed into the Mishkan except the Kohanim. Remember we said that? Nobody's allowed into the Kodesh HaKodashim except for the Kohen Gadol, specifically on Yom Kippur. But here now you're taking it apart. So you're letting the Kohanim go in. They can't really go into the Kodesh HaKodashim, can they? So what do? I want to understand conceptually what just happened. Is a Kohen allowed into the Kodesh HaKodashim? No. But what they did is they took the parochet that separates the Kodesh from the Kodesh HaKodashim. They're allowed in the Kodesh. So they're in the Kodesh, and they take down the parochet, and then they cover the Aron HaKodesh. So the Kodesh HaKodashim disappears. You understand? I mean, until now, where I was like kind of showing you the nuts and bolts. I want to kind of put it together. So the first thing they do is they can't enter the Kodesh HaKodashim. That's a given. So they take the parochet and they cover it, like a person like puts a blanket on his bed. They cover the Aron HaKodesh, and by covering the Aron HaKodesh, that's it. The Kodesh HaKodashim now is hidden under there. On top of that, they put the Or Tahash, the leather. On top of that, they put the Techelet. It's the only one that has Techelet on the top, because everything else has the Or Tahash to symbolize the fact that Hashem doesn't need favors from anybody, because you remember the famous story with Uzam when they were taking the Aron HaKodesh in the days of David HaMelech, and the Aron HaKodesh was about to fall, and somebody thought that they were going to save the Aron HaKodesh, and they ended up getting killed. That's the Haftarah of Shemini, right? We read that in Perashat Shemini, the Haftarah Perashat Shemini. So maybe the fact that you have the Techelet on top symbolized the fact that Hashem doesn't need us to take care of him, which of course is obvious, but maybe it's to emphasize that fact. That's where I understand why that's where you have the Techelet on top, whereas in all the cases you have the Or, the protective Or on top. Okay. So now we took apart the Kodesh HaKodashim. It doesn't exist anymore. The Aron HaKodesh is covered. The Aron HaKodesh has the beams now, so you can walk with those beams. And the ones who are going to be carrying the Aron HaKodesh is going to be the Qehatim. I want to tie this up for you. The Qehatim are the ones who are going to be carrying the Aron HaKodesh, right? All the other parts of the Mishkan, they were carried by animals on agalot, on carriages. Here, the Keleh HaKodesh, the Aron HaKodesh was carried on the shoulders of the Leviim, right? There was a special zechut that the Leviim from Qehat were allowed to carry the Aron HaKodesh on their shoulders, right? There was a very big zechut. So the Kohanim take it apart. They take apart they took apart the Kodesh HaKodashim. It doesn't exist anymore. They cover the other kelim inside the Kodesh, okay? And now let's continue. We're up to pasuk. Now we're pasuk Yud Gimel. So now we covered the mizbeach, and now we're going to do something else. V'dishenu et hamizbeach, and we're going to read pasuk Yud Gimel. V'dishenu et hamizbeach ufarisu alav dered argaman. Okay. V'yispon yad kitma de madbecha v'ifresun alohi lebush. Argevan. I don't understand this pasuk. Didn't we say before in pasuk Yod Aleph? We said in pasuk Yod Aleph that on mizbach hazahav, on the golden mizbeach, you would cover a beged techelet. You would put a beged techelet. We already finished the mizbeach. How are we going back now to the mizbeach in pasuk Yod Gimel? It says v'dishenu et hamizbeach. What does that mean? Right? You understand my question? I'll explain. Okay, it was a trick question. Because now it's not talking about the Mizbeach HaZahav anymore. That's done with. All the kelim on the inside are already covered. There's nothing left on the inside. We just covered everything. What's left? The outside. The outside, you have the other Mizbeach, right? The other Mizbeach was made out of Nechoshet. And I'll show you a picture of what it looked like inside the Beit HaMikdash, if I can find one. What
exactly does the word vidishenu mean here?
I will lehasir et hadeshen, to remove the ashes, right? So you would remove the ashes from the mizbeach. That's ledashen et hamizbeach, okay?
Got it.
And I will explain it in a moment. I want to see also what Ankelos says about it. Only because there's so many pictures here, I just, but here, I mean, this is the top of the Mizbeach. So the top of the Mizbeach, how do you see that big black mound? That's the deshen, that's the ashes, and then they would have to take the ashes away. So before you cover up the Mizbeach, you have to remove the ashes. Otherwise, it's going to become dirty. So let me see Ankelos. Veyasiru et efer hamizbeach. They take away the ashes from the mizbeach, just like I explained. And only after you take away the ashes, you put a beged argaman. Beged argaman was also a red type of covering. Again, I don't know what the difference between tolat shani and beged argaman. It's different types of colors, right? So there was a special red covering that they would put on top of the mizbeach. The mizbeach itself in the midbar was made out of nehoshet. It was made out of copper. It was portable. And then when it came time to cover it, they would remove the ashes and cover it. Rabbeinu said,
Rabbi,
yes,
can I ask a question?
please.
Why is the Torah so specific about all these details? What's the significance? I mean, it's not something we do today. You're talking to us now about different shades of colors. What's the meaning behind it?
First of all, there is a meaning behind it, of course, absolutely. And this is the deepest portions of the Torah. First of all, every pasuk in the Torah is deep, so I shouldn't even say that. I don't even like that. But the portions of the Torah that deal with the Bet HaMikdash, that deal with the Mishqan, all these details, and if you look in the book of Melachim, and Shlomo Melech builds the Bet HaMikdash, and it has incredible details, chapters upon chapters upon chapters of the finest, meticulous details. It's all related to Sodot HaTorah. And I'm just teaching you the Perashat, and the Perashat itself is no less important, of course. I'm not chas v'shalom minimizing it in the least bit, but understand that all these things contain under them tremendous Sodot. So the benefit is both to know, and that's one comment. Second comment is as follows: when you're dealing with the holy things, that's God's domain, and one has to be very careful. When you enter the temple of God, go in with this, with the head down, with humility and with reverence, because it's not your place, and you have to be very careful not to make any mistakes and not to do anything wrong. Again, that story of Uzzah, that he just wanted to save the Aron HaKodesh. His intention was completely of the most pure and noble intention, and yet he was killed. Right? People think that God is like our best friend, and there's this kind of like, whatever. Of course, God loves us and we love God, of course, but be very humble and very fearful in the presence of God. Ibdu et Adonai be'yir'ah. So when you worship God, have fear. Also, when you're in the Amidah, in the Amidah, you have to be very careful. And even when you're happy, Vegilu, you're in a time of Gila, bir'adah, have reverence. Don't just, jump around and, in a lightheaded or in a comical fashion. No comedy. All right. In worshiping God. All right, let's continue. ונתנו עליו את כל כליו, אשר ישרתו עליו בהם, את המחטות, את המזלגות, ואת היעים, ואת המזרקות, כל כלי המזבח, ופרסו עליו כיסוי אור תחש, Now you notice also here, what do you put on top of the Mizbeach? It's always going to be an or tahash. You notice that? Again, on top, we said you have the argaman, which is a very bright red. And on top of that, you have the ortahash. And all the various kelim that were used in the mizbeach to move the wood around, to remove the ashes, various kelim, all under that same covering. Okay. And then you would put the badim, you would put the poles on the side of the mizbeach again so that it could be carried. Okay. Here we go. וכילה אהרון ובניו לכסות את הקודש ואת כל כלי הקודש בנסוע המחנה ואחרי כן יבואו בני קהת לשאת ולא יגעו אל הקודש ומתו אלה מסע בני קהת באוהל מועד וישסה אהרון ובנו היא לכסה יד קודשה ועל כל מנה קודשה במיטל משריתה ובתר כן יעלון בני קהת במטל ולא יקרבון לקודשה ולא ימותון אלא אין מטול בני קהת במשכן זימנה. And that was it. בתחילה אהרון ובניו, in this way, Aharon and his sons would complete the covering of the Kodesh and of all of the kelim in the Kodesh when they were traveling, right? This was necessary because, again, you're traveling, you needed to take it apart and put it together. And only after everything was covered. You see, Natan? Everything has to be covered. You're not allowed to look at it. You can't just look at the Kodesh. You can't look at the kelim, because when you look and you perceive with the eyes, the brain misconceives. Now, if I look at a beautiful mountain and I misconceive something with my eyes, not the end of the world, it's a mountain. If I look at a tree and I misconceive it, not the end of the world, it's a tree. If you look at these holy things in Bar Minan, your eyes look and your brain understands something wrong, that's improper. And that's why it all has to be covered. Because if somebody looks and they see something wrong with their mind through their eyes, the dimayon, they messed it up. And then they get into big trouble, you see? So that's why they're being so meticulous. So only after everything is covered up by Aaron and his sons, right? Then the Bnei Qehat would enter, they would come, and they would take out the things, but they wouldn't touch anything. They wouldn't touch anything. They would only touch the badim. V'lo yigeu lakodesh, because if they would touch, or if they would look, vametu, they would die. And this is the way the work of the Qehat was done in Ohel Moed. The Qehatim would come in after the Kohanim were done. By the way, it's a known thing that there was very few Leviim. The Levite tribe is very, very small. And this is one of the reasons. And one of the reasons that the Levite tribes are small is because they were the closest to the Mishqan, right? And the fire of the Shekhinah haya mechaleh bahem. So El Na'aras, the pasuk in Eob, right? Usvivav nis'ara me'od, right? So around Hashem, there's like a tremendous storm of fire, right? So you have to be very careful. So the Leviim had to be very careful. That's why it was done like this. One more pasuk, and we just at least we'll finish up to Maftir. Ufkudat el Azar ben Aharon HaKohen shemen hama'od uktoret hasamim umenchat hatamid veshemen hamishcha pekudat kol hamishkan v'chol asher bo bekodesh ubchelav. And then there was Elazar. Elazar was son of Aaron. He was in charge of transporting the shemen hama'or. That's the oil used to light the menorah. He was in charge of that. The ketoret hasamim, that was the incense that was burned on the golden mizbeach inside the Mishkan. Uminchat hatamid, there was menachot. There was flour, solid flour that was used for the menachot. Beshemen hamishcha, and there was the oil used similarly. What was the shemen hamishcha used for? Shemen hamishcha was used when they would have to consecrate the new kelim. So the Shem HaMishkan was prepared by Moshe Rabbeinu, and it was used later on in the Bet HaMikdash, when they built the Bet HaMikdash in the days of Shlomo HaMelech. All these things were under the supervision of Elazar. That wasn't the supervision of the Leviim, that was the supervision of Elazar HaKohen. And that's it. That's the end of this. That's the end of this section. And it's Perashat HaShavua. So we all study the Perashat together. I know it's tedious and it's difficult, and that's why I love it. It's a zechut to be amelim b'Torah. Yot amel b'Torah means to really make an effort and try to understand, right? Fun is fun. We have fun sometimes, but classes like this are about to be yageh b'Torah. So I'm sweating. I don't know if anybody else is sweating, but I can tell you that I'm sweating. Okay?
That's great. Quick question.
Yes.
After Elazar HaKohen passed away, who would take his role? His son, his oldest?
That's a good question. So apparently the Elazar, very simply, he entered Eretz Yisrael. Nobody needed to take his role. They entered Israel and they built the Mishqan. They put it in a permanent place. It would have been, I mean, the question was theoretical because I'm saying because of that, it was a theoretical question.
Right, true.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, next week I think it's Shavuot, so you can all study Torah on your own, and then the week after we'll continue.
Omer.
I said the Omer at the beginning.
Said the Omer.
Anybody who didn't say the Omer, say it now. It's 43 nights. I'm going to say good night to all of you. And
Good night.
holiday.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good night. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.